Have you ever wanted attention so bad that you did something extreme that you would never normally do? Well, then you wouldn't be alone, because there are plenty of people that have done some really intense things like hijacking something to get attention, and boy, did they get their point across. But as you'll soon see, unsuccessfully. Here are the 10 strangest hijackings that actually happened. Number 10 is a warning from God. In 2009, an Aeromexico flight traveling between Cancun and Mexico City was hijacked for a really bizarre reason. All 104 passengers were held hostage by a 44-year-old Bolivian drug addict who also happened to be a self-confessed minister. His name was Yosmar Flores Pereira, and he hijacked the plane on September 9th, 2009, because if you turn the date upside down, it goes from 999 to 666, the number of the beast. Pereira actually threatened everyone on board with a bomb, which in truth was just a can filled with sand and decorated with colored lights. Pereira said that he was just trying to warn Mexico that Jesus Christ was about to return, and that there was also going to be a catastrophic earthquake. But neither happened, and instead Pereira faced justice. Hallelujah! Number 9 is let's go to the Olympics. A Ukrainian man once tried to hijack a Pegasus Airlines plane traveling from the Ukraine to Turkey so that he could just go to the Olympics. The hijacking took place in 2014 while the Winter Olympics were going on in Sochi, Russia. During the flight, the man stood up and claimed that he had placed an explosive device aboard the aircraft. After trying to force his way into the cockpit, the hijacker was tricked into thinking that the plane was heading for the Olympics. Instead, a military jet escorted the plane to its original destination at an airport in Turkey. The passengers were escorted off and the truth came out. Turns out the man was drunk, like really drunk. No one knows exactly why he wanted to go to Sochi so bad, but I guess he really just wanted to see the Olympics. Maybe he was into synchronized swimming, who knows? Number 8 is Destination Cuba. Between 1961 and 1973, there were nearly 160 plane hijackings in the United States alone. And strangely, most of the hijackers had gotten it into their heads that they could go and live in Cuba instead of America, that life there would be better for them. To counter the hijackings, several options were looked at by the US government. These included, and I'm not joking, arming air stewardesses with tranquilizer darts and building secret trapdoors outside cockpits to drop hijackers through. The irony in all of these cases is that the hijackers who successfully diverted planes to Cuba got a surprise when they arrived. Fidel Castro, the leader of Cuba, wasn't a big fan of their actions and had them imprisoned. Although US citizens, I doubt the hijackers could have found US government agencies that were, willing and or interested in bringing them home. It rarely works out when you try to take an ex back. Number 7 is All for Love. Egypt Air Flight MS-181 was hijacked by Sarif Eldin Mustafa in 2016. After revealing a suicide belt to passengers and crew, he demanded that the plane divert from its original destination of Cairo and land in Cyprus in the Mediterranean. After landing in Larnaca Airport in Cyprus, a standoff with Cypriot security ensued. Finally, passengers were allowed to leave the plane, but not before one of them bizarrely took a selfie with the hijacker, still wearing his suicide belt. As it turns out, the suicide belt was fake, surprise, made from old pieces of electronics and cell phones. The hijacker claimed he wanted Egyptian authorities to free political prisoners, but in actual fact, he just wanted to see his estranged wife who lived in Cyprus. Unfortunately, the feeling wasn't mutual and he went to jail. Man, love will make you do crazy things. Number 6 is the prank that never was. In 1969, a flight from Newark to Miami was hijacked. Now you'd think the passengers would be terrified in such a situation, but the truth is, they weren't. The passengers believed the hijacking was an elaborate prank and laughed when it happened. The reason for this is that one of the passengers was Alan Funt, creator of a famous TV show called Candid Camera. The show was an early frontrunner to prank and hidden camera videos on YouTube, so you can blame it for those. Anyway, because Alan Funt was on the plane, passengers passengers believe the hijacking was part of the show. One account even states that the passengers gave the hijacker a standing ovation. The plane landed in Cuba and the hijacker was arrested and unfortunately did not have a glittering career in show business. I guess you could say that he bombed. That was inappropriate. Number 5 is the beer jacker. In June of 1985, a Norwegian Boeing 737 and its 116 passengers was heading from Trondheim to Oslo. It seems that cabin fever or air rage got the better of one of the passengers as he decided to take his frustrations out on all that boarded the plane. Holding 5 crew members hostage with a pistol that he was carrying, the passengers were allowed to disembark once they landed. The hijacker refused to release the crew and demanded to speak with the Minister of Justice. You'd think his demands were to fly to another country, to avoid prosecution, or to have someone that he cared about released from prison. Nope, he just had one simple demand. And Matt, what was that demand? It was to be given a nice cold pitcher of beer. Yeah, pause for dramatic effect. Well, what can I say? The guy had his priorities. Number 4 is the bumbling hijacker. A Philippines Airlines flight was hijacked in May of 2000 by a man who was both resourceful and bumbling at the same time. The hijacker was later identified as Reginald Chua, and he no doubt considered his plan to take all 278 passengers hostage as genius. After smuggling a grenade and a handgun on board, he fired a bullet into a bulkhead and demanded to be let into the cockpit. When the pilots refused, he then forced the passengers to fill a bag with their valuables and then ordered the pilot to descend so that the plane would depressurize and he could jump out with his parachute to escape. Sounds like the perfect plan. Except his parachute was homemade and had no ripcord and was made from a curtain. 3 days later, he was found embedded in a mud field. Ouch. Number 3 is the North Korean agent. A Korean airliner once found itself at the center of an international dispute. During December of 1969, the NAMC YS-11 aircraft was carrying domestic passengers from Seoul in South Korea. 10 minutes after takeoff, a passenger leaped up from his seat, rushed past the cabin crew, and entered the cockpit. After incapacitating the flight crew, the hijacker altered the plane's flight path. Once in North Korean airspace, the plane was escorted by 3 North Korean fighter jets. And when the plane landed in Sunduk airfield, North Korean soldiers forcibly boarded the plane, blindfolded all the passengers, and took them to a secret location. Bizarrely, as it turned out, the hijacking had been orchestrated by North Korean secret agents. After 39 days of negotiations, North Korea released the 39 passengers, but 11 remain missing to this day. Wait a second, why was that even on the script? That's not weird for North Korea at all. Time to get a new writer. Number 2 is the heroic plot. In April of 1994, a Federal Express flight engineer called Auburn Calloway was about to lose his job. Facing financial ruin, Auburn hijacked a flight to California. His plan was to crash the plane to get back at his employers and make sure his family received $2.5 million in life insurance for his death. Knowing all of the security procedures, he was able to smuggle several hammers on the plane in a guitar case. He intended on killing the crew with the hammers so that the injuries would be consistent with a crash. There would be no evidence of his hijacking because he disabled the voice recorder on board. So Auburn attacked the flight crew during the flight, fracturing their skulls, but the quick thinking of the pilot saved the day. He sent the plane into a steep dive, throwing Auburn against the ceiling. From there, people were able to subdue him and, well, the rest is history. He went to jail. See, turbulence isn't always bad. And number 1 is a religious conspiracy. On May 2nd, 1981, Lawrence James Downey hijacked the plane that he was on. Flight 164 was traveling from Dublin to London. Just 5 minutes before the plane was due to land at Heathrow Airport, Downey locked himself in the toilet and covered himself in fuel. Wait, where did he get fuel from, okay, anyways, let's continue. He threatened to set himself on fire if the pilot did not listen to his demands. Downey ordered the pilot to fly to Iran, but when the pilot informed him that there wasn't enough fuel on board, they settled for France. The plane was diverted to Le Touquet Airport. After landing, Lawrence James Downey made his demands known. The Pope was to release the third secret of Lady Fatima for the world to see. No one had a clue what Downey was talking about, and he was arrested shortly afterwards. I suspect he went on to write the Da Vinci Code. That was Dan Brown? Okay, then this guy was just an idiot.